Hey there, golfers. I'm Drew Mahowald of Second Swing Golf, joined by Thomas Campbell, a master club fitter at Second Swing. We're outside today, and we wanted to touch a little bit on follow-up fittings at Second Swing. About 4 months ago, I was fit for a new set of irons, a combo set of I-210s and I-500s. Thomas here actually fit me for them. There's a YouTube video you can watch of the entire fitting, the whole tour van fitting process. Gotta say, so far they've worked out pretty well for me. My ball striking, my iron play, it's improved quite a bit. But I still want to take advantage of that follow-up fitting. Something that Second Swing offers that anybody that takes advantage of a tour van fitting can also take advantage of a follow-up fitting. So I've been playing these irons now for about 4 months, and now I get to take advantage of this follow-up fitting for free to take a look at my gapping, the lofts, the lie angle, see if anything else needs to be changed. So Thomas, just give us some insight into what a follow-up fitting is. What are the type of things that you usually change in a follow-up fitting and what I can look forward to here?
Yeah, so first thing, this one's a little unique because it's on camera and we're doing it outside. Normally it would be at our tour van locations that we did the fitting with. But first thing we like to kind of cover is gapping. Gapping analysis is very, very important. So that's one thing that we can definitely cover. We can check the lie angle on someone's golf club. We can check the wedge gapping, so talking about the lofts on the wedges that they're playing, seeing how their bounce and grind that they're playing is going, and then kind of adding in maybe possibly a hybrid versus a kind of longer iron in there as well. And then just in general, just checking up to see how the clubs are working.
Yeah, absolutely. I know one of the things I have maybe looked at a little bit with my irons, and again, I haven't done a super in-depth analysis or used a launch monitor to check my numbers or anything, but some of the gapping, particularly I'm thinking about my 6 and 7 iron. That's where that transition goes from I-500 to I-210. Kind of want to see the numbers on that, see if there's anything there that maybe need the lofts need to be changed there, anything like that. But maybe we'll find something else out as well. But I'm looking forward to seeing what I can do here to improve my game.
Yeah, from what I recall, your fitting was a little unique because we did do that combo set. We did make that transition from the 6 iron to the 7 iron, from the I-500s to the I-210s. So we did have to weaken the loft on the I-500 a little bit and strengthen the loft on the I-210. That was kind of my estimate to try and keep 4-degree gap between each club at that point. You were telling me maybe sometimes that 6 iron does go a little bit too far, possibly at times, so you wanted to kind of confirm that. If we had left that 6 iron at 27 degrees and that 7 iron at 33 degrees, for sure there would have been a very large gap. So it's very important to kind of talk about the loft on the golf club there as well. One thing to kind of keep in mind also with follow-up fittings is don't come in week after you get your golf clubs. Give your golf clubs a chance to be played on the golf course for a few rounds. I recommend doing it in the fall when things slow down in the store a little bit. You can get in and maybe get some more time with the fitter as opposed to being a little too rushed, essentially.
Right.
So it's important to play your clubs, get a chance to kind of see how they perform outside. If something obviously is clearly wrong, then definitely kind of come in. But you know, your golf clubs are going to work pretty well. I'm very, very confident, or our tour van fitters for sure.
Yep, and that's one of the reasons we're outside here too, actually, is, you know, the tour van bays are completely full, right? So we're outside getting some space outside. We got an outdoor TrackMan with us today, so that's a great opportunity to get kind of a modified follow-up fitting today for me. So I'm looking forward to it. And again, I'll remind everybody out there watching, if you like our videos, like our channel, we'd love for you to subscribe to our channel. We're getting close to that 10,000 mark, so we really appreciate if you guys can get us up there. And again, we also appreciate you guys watching the video. So Thomas, I'm gonna go hit some shots.
Let's see how you do.
All right, Thomas, that's, you know, a few shots with now my 50 degree and then the pitching wedge. What's my gapping look like?
So your pitching wedge was going right around about 148 carry, going about 158.
Okay.
So carry distance is very, very important with your pitching wedge. When you were hitting your 50 degree, your carry was 136, going 145. So notice about 11, 12 yards apart.
Okay.
Very good. Actually, that's about spot on what I'd like to see. A lot of times I worry a little bit when you make that transition from that pitching wedge with the golf set to that gap wedge, that's the more versatile wedge, to make sure that the gapping stays relevant, especially with that 50 degree, because it's still a full golf swing with that one there too. So pretty good, pretty spot on actually there with regards to the numbers there. Yeah, so pretty solid across the board. One thing I did notice is TrackMan is having a little issues picking up the range balls even with the normalization button on here.
Yeah.
So the spin rate is showing a little low. At least it's showing consistent across the board here.
Yeah.
So at least it's still showing good gapping, same
Right.
golf swing, same environment.
I was going to say
golf balls.
the total distance, the rollout that it's given me might not be completely correct, but
Yeah.
it's consistent across the board, as you said. So
Yeah, I mean, you hit down on it a little bit more, you can kind of see the turf interaction a little bit here. Usually what happens when that happens, you're going to create a little bit more spin, which is going to cause the ball to stop.
Yeah.
I don't really quite trust the spin rate numbers here at 3,500 with your pitching wedge. So yeah.
But, all right, let's
otherwise
get
the
it up
gapping's good. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, let's try the 9-iron then. Yeah, I'm taking some. I'm gonna taking some earth off the ground here.
Okay, so 9-iron, pretty good. 160 carry going 170. Once again, with the spin rate being
Right.
a little lower. Now, what's interesting here, but yeah, what I can see here is 12 yards apart. 160 carry with the 9-iron, pitching wedge is 147.6. So
Okay.
basically 12 yards apart, which is typically what I kind of like to see with iron. So pretty good, pretty
This
spot on.
It's nice because I haven't used a launch monitor necessarily to track my carry distances. So this is kind of the numbers I had in my mind with the carry distances of my iron. So it's good to see that now with TrackMan and get a good gauge of what my carry distances are, and that I know that I'm actually have the right ones in my mind anyway.
From what I also recall, we did something a little unique with your combo set when we were making this combo set. I think the 9-iron was the first club, but we may have tweaked it a little bit. Didn't we have it bent to like 40.5 as opposed to 40 with the set, just to try and help spread out the combo and expand with I-500 to the I-210s essentially.
So every iron in my set is a different loft than the standard, I believe. So, or at least most of them are, just to make sure the gapping is correct. When you have a combo set, as we know, we've talked about with all these videos, is that the stock lofts, they do vary quite a bit from model to model. A player's distance to a player's iron, it's going to change a little bit. So we had to just make sure that those were a good, consistent gapping. So
we're getting close to where we made that transition from the I-500 to the I-210. So it'll be interesting to see what happens between the 6-iron and the 7-iron.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Yeah, your dispersion, again, a little bit larger. But the good news is your distance gapping was still pretty accurate. So you were hitting that 8-iron, carrying 174.
Okay.
And you're about 160 with the 9-iron. So it's pretty close there. I did take out a couple of the misses that were a little bit shorter in there as well. And you also had one that was a little pull, went a little bit further as well too. But no, the dispersion pattern got a little bit larger. It's probably going to happen a little bit as we kind of go through the longer golf clubs. It's a little harder to hit.
Well, and I'm no Thomas Campbell, and I do remember, if you've seen the other fitting video that I did to get these irons, my miss in that video with my old irons was always 15, 20 yards right, and there's still some of that there. You've seen it, but now it's the dispersion, at least what I'm seeing on the map, a little bit closer to the center line, which I like.
Yeah, definitely a little bit close to the center line on average. Did notice a couple of misses a little to the right. It's the reason why we chose the green dot for you there as well, because your old irons, I believe they were the MP59s, correct?
Yeah.
And they were sitting a little bit flatter. They were a little bit shorter. They were pretty far off. The swing weight, I believe, was like C9 or something.
They
were
not fit for me.
Yeah.
So these are a little bit better, and the results are showing that. So.
Yeah, so upright's going to help get that ball to turn over just a little easier for you as opposed to that short right all day.
Yep.
So, okay, so let's hit the 7-iron. Okay, so this is actually kind of interesting. I haven't deleted out any of your mishits yet. Yeah, we will, but I'm going to leave them up here for now. So this is a kind of important piece to why we did kind of make that transition from like the 7-iron to 6-iron from a I-210 to the I-500, which is going to be a little bit more forgiving, a little easier to hit. What I'm looking at here, as you can kind of see here, notice how this circles here between the 7 and 8 iron are kind of pretty similar.
Yeah.
You had 3 that went a little bit further, but you'll notice didn't hit it quite as solid. And there's a reason why I want to play a little more forgiving club and make that transition. Is because this is probably when we had that conversation in the fitting, and I asked you, when you start to maybe make that switch where you maybe don't go at the flag as much,
Right.
that's kind of why we just chose the 6 iron to 7 iron as kind of your transition there too. So just notice your ball striking wasn't maybe quite as solid with the 7 iron. I'm hoping we get a little bit of assistance here with the I-500 versus kind of the 210.
Right, yep. And then this is also where, now this has been just kind of loose analysis while playing golf, is that there's maybe, going from that player's iron to a player's distance iron, maybe a bit of a gapping problem per se here, 7 to 6. They are lofted, I believe, 4 degrees difference, which is what we discussed and what should be right. But again, that I-500 built for distance.
Yep.
More so than the I-210. So I've maybe noticed that. Maybe it's also in my head, knowing that the player's distance iron is supposed to hit farther. But we'll see. I'm kind of interested to actually get numbers on this now.
And what we initially did with the I-210 was we bent that a degree stronger, and the I-500 was a degree weaker. So it was like 32 to 36, right?
Yep, that's how that gapping worked out.
Normally the traditional with a I-500 is like 33, and the with the 7 iron, and then I think it was going to be maybe 31, I think it was, what was it?
Right, so the I-500 standard 6 iron is 27.
27.
So the I-210 7 iron is 33 standard, but they're 28 and 32.
Yep.
So that the gapping isn't 6 degrees apart.
So we went for 4 essentially.
Right.
Okay. Perfect. So let's, kind of like with the other ones, what we did, we took out a couple of the shorter ones. So we'll do that for the gapping analysis. Okay, so now if we were going to look here, your average carry with 8 iron was 177, so your average carry with 7 iron was 187.6.
Okay.
So it was still pretty good. So it was kind of reduced a little bit there.
Yeah.
Your dispersion was a little bit better. That's because we took out a couple of those mishits. When you were hitting the 8 iron, you had a couple that were a little bit off there as well. So you noticed why the green circle was a little bit larger there. But with regards to averages, it's pretty good. It's all been about 11 to 14 degrees per club across the board. So I'm not too concerned with any of the gapping so far.
Okay.
But I know you were concerned a little bit with the 6 iron to the 7 iron gapping, correct?
Yeah, just I think part of it could be in my head with the model of the club. Part of it could be maybe I'm seeing something on the course. But well, I guess I'm for sure going to find out here with actual data.
Well, we're going to find out right now.
Ooh.
Okay, so 7 iron was about 188.
Yeah.
6 iron on average was 202.
Okay.
So pretty good.
Yeah.
Back in that 11 to 14.
Okay.
Yeah. So pretty accurate right there. Yeah, the numbers really were kind of lying there. Kind of interesting there. That it's pretty spot on.
Yeah. That actually does surprise me a little bit that it is that consistent. I think what my perception was that the 7 iron was not carrying that far, because that's kind of what I was guessing for about the 6 iron.
Yep.
About 200 for carry, but the 7 iron I didn't think was going that far. I think that's where I maybe had my perception off. But it's good to know again that I can trust those numbers. The gapping works out, and that even though the different models are in the bag and that transition from 7 to 6, that the gapping still works out because the lofts are configured that way.
Yeah. What's also interesting when I'm looking at kind of in the numbers here is the spin, and I will kind of touch on the fact that we're kind of using range balls a little bit. Is just spin rate is being kind of consistently in the 3,600 to 5,900. What actually I noticed here, the 6 iron did spin a little higher than the 7 iron. That is contact related. That's also golf ball, because of the fact we're using a range golf ball for a little bit here as well. When you flush it a little more, it's going to spin a little bit more. You hit down on it, catch a little turf, it's going to spin a little more. But the consistent thing is we've got the same kind of environment today with these range golf balls here. So it is showing spins a little off.
Yeah.
But from what I can see with carry distance, it's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
It's kind of pretty spot on there.
Every shot's being impacted the same way.
It is, yes. What I'm also always interested to look at is the height. I always like to talk about the height you want to have pretty consistent across the board here. So what's really interesting is your lowest height was with the 50 degree. Really? That one you may not quite swing quite as hard at, I guess. So the average height was 113 feet in the air with that one. The highest height was with the pitching wedge was 126. But that was kind of the range from 113 to 126.
Really?
9 iron was 116, 8 iron was 118, 7 iron was 118, 6 iron was 120. So
I like that.
Yeah, pretty consistent.
Pretty consistent.
So it was really interesting that the height there was very consistent, and your landing angle was cold right around about 50 degrees across the board there as well.
Yeah, that does make a lot of sense, those numbers, because I know in our videos we've talked about the height being, about 100 feet is what you kind of want. That's kind of, I guess, the tour average, but any golfer that can get the average kind of speed, right? We want to be at about 100 feet. I'm a little higher than that, and it does feel like that sometimes on the course. And in those windy days when, a ball flight that's a little bit higher may be affected, I can definitely feel that.
Well, keep in mind also this is a small sample size, and also, your game, maybe not quite as consistent as a tour player would be, where you see that consistently every single time. But you can see, even still, with what we've fitted you into, the numbers are pretty good. So you give yourself a pat on the back on kind of what you've been working on here with this spring, because still pretty good with regards to kind of gapping and height and what we're all trying to achieve here as well. So
perfect.
Yeah, so we've been pretty good.
Should I move up to the 5 iron?
Let's move to the 5 iron.
All right. 5 iron.
Pretty accurate again.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Good.
So your average carry with the 5 iron was 215. Average carry with the 6 iron was 202.5. So 12 and a half.
I like it.
So it's pretty good.
Well,
so
it's good
pretty
to know.
there, yeah.
It's good to know that. So I mean, we have a couple clubs left, but it's good to know so far the gapping is accurate.
Yeah, that was really accurate. These I-500s for sure are really helping you in your long game. For sure.
Yeah, I can tell. I can tell. I really like the look of them too, because it looked exactly the same as the I-210s at Address, which is why I got this combo set in particular in the first place. They look different, from like this angle here, but at Address they look the same.
I'd be concerned with putting your I-500 maybe all the way through, just because the speed that you generate. Spin, you would hit those 8-9 pitching wedge probably too far, and we would have that kind of gapping, which is why we're here right now talking about kind of gapping and why we fit you into a combo set to start with.
Absolutely.
As well.
All right, let's get to the 4 and 3 here.
There's a lot of speed coming off that golf ball. You're crushing that thing. So 4 iron. 4 iron carry 232 going 256. So I know that because the spin's a little lower and everything, you may be a little surprised by that number there. But essentially, like you kind of talked about, it almost kind of plays like a little bit like a utility iron a little bit.
That's how both of the 3 and the 4 specifically in my bag. I mean, because they are lofted. The 3 is at 18 degrees, the 4 is at 21 degrees, which might be a little bit stronger than maybe a player's iron set would have at those lofts or at those clubs. But in that way, they can also play off the tee as a utility iron, which has helped me because, as you know, and I've talked about it a few times in videos, I kind of, in the past, have been just hit driver on every hole that I can. But having something now I can rely on off the tee a little bit has helped me quite a bit, and I can still hit it out there, 230, 240, 250, and still be in the fairway, and it's just an iron, So that helps me out quite a bit off the tee.
This is the first point where our carry distance is being kind of a little bit off, I guess. So 232 versus 214, so that's more like, 18 yard good with regards to carry distance. One thing I found really interesting as I scroll over to the right here is the height. So I talked about the height with all the other ones. Your 5 iron height was about 107, when everything else is kind of about 115 mark. With the 4 iron, you did hit a couple a little thin, kind of a little lower. It was a very low penetrating ball flight when you did hit it solid. Average height was 73 feet in the air.
Interesting, okay.
So it's definitely a kind of low trajectory
Yeah.
that's kind of chasing out there. And that's what you'd expect out of a club that doesn't kind
Sure.
of have much loft there on it. I may also suggest with the 4-iron that we may talk about possibly weakening that one just a little bit, just to kind of, and then we'll take a look at 3-iron numbers here as well. I'm curious to see how close the 3-iron and the 4-iron are with regards to numbers.
Okay.
So I know you wanted the 3-iron when we did the fitting here.
Yeah.
The 4-iron, it's going. It's like a rocket there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't even need a 3-iron, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Or maybe I could use something instead of a 3-iron, more like a 18-degree hybrid.
Yeah, we could definitely find something else to throw in there as well. But yeah, let's see the 3-iron here and see how far that thing is going as well. Okay, so I'm actually just gonna kind of stop you there for a second. So we talked a little bit about what you use this 3-iron for.
Yeah.
You mentioned with this club you like to play it as kind of a utility iron. You actually like to play it off a tee sometimes on the tee because there's less loft of it on it. Sorry, you were not hitting it as well, and essentially you didn't even hit it as far as you were hitting the 4-iron.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So I felt like a couple of those were actually hit solid.
Yeah. Yeah, that last one carried 229, but
interesting.
when you were hitting that 4-iron, you actually hit some that actually kind of carried a little further than that there too. Part of the reason why a lot of players play a hybrid or play it off the tee only, or a little more loft has always helped to get the ball up in the air. So what I want you to do here is these last 4 or 5 swings, actually hit this off the tee and just kind of see how that kind of helps with regards to gapping and just seeing kind of how far we actually get it off the tee to give you an idea on distance.
Okay.
So. What's interesting is you had one there that you hit really solid off the tee, carried 260.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but if you look at all the other 3, you can kind of look on the screen here. You'll notice that the 4-iron was the yellow one, the 3-iron that was the blue, and those I deleted out a couple of those ones you were hitting off the ground because you didn't kind of nearly hit as far. Yeah. So it's kind of interesting that they were going pretty kind of similar distance between the two of them. So essentially, what I'm saying is, that club there is your utility, probably is a driving iron only.
Yeah. Okay.
So also a reason why I always have that conversation about a 3-iron versus a 4-iron versus utility versus a hybrid. We just did a video a couple weeks on the differences between a 3-iron blade, 3-iron utility, driving iron, hybrid, and everything like that too. Just a little more forgiving, a little easier to hit.
Right.
We'll notice it was only really one good shot that you hit out of the 6 or 7 that you hit there that actually went further than your 4-iron.
Yeah, yeah. I like you said, I've been using this mostly off the tee. I haven't been in a bunch of situations on the course where I'm 250 out, and need to hit an iron.
Yep.
To get to the green or whatever the case may be. So, yeah, this has been mostly off the tee club, which it seems to work. I can hit off the tee, and it's obviously more reliable. But in terms of gapping, and if I'm really trying to get the green from 250, hybrid's probably the better play, right?
Yeah, I would probably agree. I mean, you don't play a hybrid, right? You just kind of go the 3-iron.
Going the 18-degree 3-iron up to the 3-wood.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that might be something depending on the golf course you played too. Maybe that 15th golf club could be a hybrid to kind of put in there. If you're playing a course where you feel like you need to go home with 2 and a par 5, hybrid might be kind of a good option. If you want to have a lot of par 4s out there, you feel like you can't hit driver off the tee, you want to hit a driving iron, maybe play the 3-iron as an option there too.
For sure.
When I'm going to events, I usually bring 15 or 16 golf clubs with me, and I'll switch it up sometimes. Maybe I'll play 3 wedges or 4 wedges. Maybe I'll play the hybrid. Maybe I'll play a driving iron or a different kind of driving iron there as well. I'm definitely playing around with that a little bit. For the most part, 90% of the time, I play the same golf clubs all year. But there are certain golf courses that I play that I may play a different golf club there as well.
Sure. Well, this is some good information, Thomas, because now I know, hey, I can go into a second swing location or talk to somebody on the phone, and I can look for an 18-degree hybrid instead of an iron, and maybe I can have that as an option in my bag. And like you said, depending on the course, depending on what's working for me, what I'm going to look to do a lot more on the course, I'll put one or the other in my bag. So it's good to know that the gapping between my 3 and 4 iron is actually the problem that I needed to be concerned about, rather than the rest of the bag. But other than that, I love these irons. I don't know if, again, that dispersion map compared to what I was hitting before my fitting in that other video, it's a lot better, right?
It definitely wasn't going short right. You can see that all hovering
Yeah.
just a tad kind of to the left. They're pretty good overall. So yeah, it's important. We do offer free follow-up fittings with our 12-round fittings. Give yourself a chance to go out and play a few times with the clubs that you've got, get used to them, see if there's anything that maybe stands out to you that maybe you feel like you may need to change. We do offer up a free fillet fitting with that follow-up, whether that be adding wedges, whether that be changing up the hybrid, maybe that just changing that line go up a little bit, maybe change the loft with regards to gapping a little bit there too. We do offer it. Not a lot of people do take advantage of it, but we do offer it though.
Yeah, it's something that a lot of golfers should take advantage of because, you know, the fit, your swing changes, right? I mean, that's how golfers, you know, you play a lot of golf, your swing changes over time, even in, you know, 3-something months, right? Since I've had these irons and been playing them, things have changed a little bit, and even inside in the indoor TrackMan environment, things can change outside on the course. Maybe you guys need something different. That's why the follow-up fitting can be really useful. And I'm finding out here that my 3 and 4 iron are roughly the same distance, so why not upgrade to a hybrid at that loft anyway? So Thomas, thank you for helping me out here. This is the great fitter insight that you provide. Now I know that from that distance, I should be playing a hybrid and going after the greens with something with, you know, higher launch, more reliable for me.
Yeah, you're hitting those irons really solid. I'm really glad the i500 is working out for you and the 210s for your scoring clubs. So.